Hi everyone, well I'm back again to do another demonstration for you with the lockdown hair. Hopefully that should be coming off this week. We're all getting a bit fed up of that, and I thought I'd wait until it cooled down a bit before I had mine cropped off. So anyway, today I'm going to show you how to make a flame lily. So it's a little bit different to the lilies I've done before, so we'll get my camera set up. Right, so first of all I'm going to make the petals. I'm only going to do one of each like I've done before. There's no point in you sitting watching me make all the petals, so I'm only going to do one of each part of the lily, and then I've already got all my blue Peter bits made and put together, ready to assemble the flower. So I've got some yellow paste here, which I've coloured with some daffodil from Sugar Flare. If you're using Squire's Kitchen, then it's melon from Sugar Flare, and it's daffodil from Squire's Kitchen. A lot of the colours are self-explanatory when you look at the actual colour of the paste that you get from it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll out some paste. I'm just going to, as I say, I'm just going to do one petal for this, and I have actually got a flame lily cutter here. These I had these made by Kitbox when I was down at the Birmingham show one year. When I originally made these, I think I used a template for them, so I took the template down and had the cutters make. You don't see them on the stands doing it now like you used to do, so you could have anything made then. I decided to have it done because somebody was having a butterfly cutter, a large butterfly cutter done, and I thought, oh, that looks good. That should be long enough. Right, so I just need my ridge up the middle. This, for me, using this is more of a guide. Because we use the paste quite thick when you're doing lilies, you can get away with just having a guide. So we'll cut out the petal. Make sure that you cut all your petals out the same way, because these have got a slight curve on them, so you want all your petals to go the same way. So when they're put together, that's one that I've already made ready to colour. That shows you what they're going to look like. So I've got a 26 gauge wire here. I cut the wires into 3 to do this, because you need a fairly long wire, because you're going to need enough to attach it to the rest of your flower when you put it all together. Now when you're doing this, just do this a little bit at a time, and I'll keep going over it, but for people that haven't watched my videos before, between your finger and your thumb, and just gradually feed the wire up. And when you're doing things like leaves and petals and things like that, you need the wire to go up as far as you can, because if you break it, then it's still on the wire and it shouldn't show through. If it does show through, that's showing through a little bit there, just pull it back a little bit and then go back in again. But you can feel it between your finger and your thumb when you're doing this. So the next step with this is, we're not using any veiners for this. I'm going to put that onto my pad and then thin the edge. I'm going to go quite heavily on the edge. I want it to frill a bit down the edge, because they're not a flat petal, aren't these? That's why they call it a flame lily. You get that sort of effect with the shape of the petal as well as the colouring on it. There we are. So that's done. So that's the back of the petal. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it over, and then I'm going to fold the petal up the wire. So if you get it flat on your board, and then just gradually get your paste between your 2 fingers and bring it together. So you're going to make a crease up the centre of the petal like that, all the way right up to the tip, and then open it back out again, but not fully, like that. And then you want a pair of curved tweezers like these, and then from the base of the petal just nip in the middle and make a little ridge coming up the centre of the lily, about halfway up the petal, like that. So you've got that up to about the middle of the petal there, like that. Then what you need to do then is you need to curve your petal over, back, like that, and then bring your petal, oops, the wire's coming out a bit. I've come through the paste a bit there because I've been a bit heavy on the tweezers. But if anybody that's watched my videos before, you know that I don't cover up any mistakes that I make. I leave them in for the simple reason that it just shows people that it can happen to the best of us. What you could do with that is to roll a very thin piece of paste and a bit of glue down there, and then put that in and do your ridge again. So then with that, then now you can either put it over a rolling pin like that, or if you've got a former, as I've got here with all my bits and pieces on, oops, they're all falling off because they're dry. I've got the one there to colour. So what you do then is get your, whoops, that goes over your former like that. The wires come out, so that's only a practice one, so we'll get rid of that out of the way. Right, so once they're all dried, then you've got all your petals already curved. So I'm just going to put those over there for now because I've coloured some of those, and we'll go on to the next bit. The next bit is the centre of the flame lily, which is this here. All lilies have sort of what they call a spadix going up the middle. On this one, it's got these sort of like three hair type things coming out at the end. So the way that I've done that is to get a wire. I'm going to use that one there. And if you get some of your tape, I'm using a Nile green tape here, which is what I'll use to put it all together when I do it. And what you need to do is, if anybody watched my sweet pea thing, you'll have seen me do this before. We need to stretch your tape and start twisting round like that. Then get it between your finger and your thumb, stretch with one hand and roll with the other, like that. So you get like a thin piece of tape rolled round like that. So it's very similar actually looking to one of the wires, but obviously it's a lot softer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that off there. This is where you have to be careful because bits fly all over the place, so make sure that you've got something there to catch your bits. I'm going to cut that into three. 1, 2, 3, like that. And then get your wire that you're going to use for your centre of your lily. I haven't used a very strong wire because we're going to attach a lot of wires to this. By the time we finish, it's going to be fairly thick, but you could put it onto a 20 gauge wire if you wanted, but I've used I think this is a 22, which is a little bit thinner. So start your tape off at the top, and then what you need to do then is to get all your three bits that you just cut together in a little group, bit like when you do stamens on flowers and that. Get them all the same length. So I'm just going to get those and put those into there like that, and then start your tape off like that, and then tape down your wire. So you're stretching with one hand and twisting with the other. I'm going to take that off there, and then if you open out your three pieces like that and curve them back, if I've gone off shot there, I wasn't looking at my camera, I apologise, but all I've done is I've just taped those on, and then if I put it that way up you can see how that goes. Right, so I'm just going to pop that to one side for a minute, and then what I'm going to do is I've got some green paste in here already coloured up. I want a small small ball of paste. So you get that nice and softened up into a little ball about the size of a marrowfat pea. Now before I do the next stage, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to what have I done with my wire? There it is. I'm going to check that against the petal, so it needs to be sort of like a slightly shorter. So I've got my tape, I've stopped my tape at the right place there. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to attach this to the base here. This is the ovary that I'm going to put on here. So what you need to do is to add a bit of glue to the base of your wire where the ovary is going to attach. Put the ball of paste up the ovary. In fact, I'm going to make that a bit smaller actually. That probably looks a little bit big. I'm going to make that a bit smaller into a garden pea, more of a garden pea. If you've got a size guide, I've got one here, you can use the size guide, and I've used that there. So I've got a size 6, could be a 7, no, probably it's more of a size 6. If you're using a guide, that's what I would use. You can get those from Crafts. There are some other people that are doing them now. They've copied them obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it between my finger and my thumb at the top like that, and then between my finger and thumb at the base like that to make an oval. Let's squash that down a bit because I've gone a bit too high up on one side there. Right, so what you do then is you get your cutting wheel, and I'm going to start off by putting one line up like that, and then I turn it over and put the cut side onto my finger like that. So then I do the opposite side like that, then turn that over and then cut that into 3. One there, one there. They don't have to be exact, but it does help if you do one on each side first. And this is the same as when you do either a stargazer lily or a longiflorum lily or whatever kind of lily you're doing. They've all got a spadix and an ovary at the base of the pod. So I'm going to put that to one side. You need to put that to one side to dry. Now you also need to make some stamens. Those that have watched my videos before know that I like to make my stamens rather than buying shop bought stamens. So for this you can use a thin wire. You could use anything from a 30-32 gauge wire. I usually do them in white and then I dust them whatever colour I want. So I'm going to start off by putting my finger there with a length of wire, and I'm going to bend that way. Then I'm going to bend that back over the top. It's probably a good idea if you've got a pair of pliers or something to just nip that together. It's gone a little bit offside, bring it back a bit. So you've got sort of a T-bar like that. Now some people, when they're demonstrating, they put tiny little bits of paste on and things like that, which is really fiddly, and sometimes they come off, and if you don't know what you're doing, it can be a bit of a disaster and very frustrating. So the way that I do it is I'm using some gum tragacanth here. I've got in a pot. You can use Tylo powder either, it's whichever I've got to hand, and it just happened that I got this to hand. So what I'm going to do first of all, where's my glue gone for that? Take my cap out of my glue, pop the T-bar end of your wire into your glue, and then into your tallow powder or whatever you're using like that. Basically this just gives you a base to work with. Now normally I would let that dry, but because I've forgotten to leave one to show you that, I'm going to use that straight away. So I'll just get rid of that out of the way. So then in here I've got some brown pollen that I've made up. Those, if you watch my other videos, you'll see I have shown it in some of them. I can't remember which one I did that I showed you how to make the pollen. But basically it is ground rice or semolina or anything like that that's fine, like that, into a pot. Mix your colour of choice in with it and then shake it about in your pot and you've got your pollen. Now if you buy the commercially bought pollen, again I'm putting some glue on this and then into the pollen like that. So there you are. You can just push that up a little bit because this hasn't dried properly, so it's come down the wire a little bit. There's your stamen. Right, so I'll just pop that to one side. I have got some here that are already dried that I've done earlier, so I'll just get rid of that and that back into there. And because I was hovering over here, it's always a good idea to have some kitchen roll handy, just to get rid of any dust or anything that you might have spilt on your board. If you find it staining your board, just rub some white fat onto it, some vegetable fat, and that will bring it off. Best way of cleaning your board is that. Right, so that's the stamens made, the pistil made and the petals made. So we'll get on to the colouring side of it now. So I've got some kitchen paper here with the colours on that I'm using. So to get the flame effect on the petals, I've used this red here. I can't tell you which colour it is because the tops of my pots are worn and I can't remember which colour it was. But this could be either a burgundy, either a deep red or a burgundy, any of those colours, because there are different colours in the lilies. And what I did first of all start at the tip of your petal and then go up the petal up to where the ridge is. Like that. And just need some more colour. That's the red. Just put some more colour on here. Just put it in one spot, and like I said before, on your brush, off your brush, get the loose off, because if it flies elsewhere it will colour and you leave little marks. So again, up the centre and then start pulling it out down to the top of your petal, making a diamond shape on one side, then the same on the other side. And the best thing about using dust rather than painting it on is that you get that sort of blurry line where it sort of blends in. So you don't get a harsh line. And then turn it over, find out where the bottom is, where you've got to, put your finger or thumb there, and then do the same thing again down the back. And then off again, off to the side, making that V shape. Becomes a diamond obviously because you've got your because you've got your shape of your petal. Just bear with me a second. Oh, it's alright. I heard a ping then, I was just wondering if something had gone off. You don't have to be too precise with this because it's got to look like a flame, so that's the whole idea behind it. Right, so away from the red now. I've got some tropical lime here, which is that colour from Edible Art. I tend to use a lot of their colours, and just put some of that on there. And when you do your stamens, the length, because I've done everything on white wires, start off with white first of all. If you just lay it down on your paper where you've dusted before, and then just go down the length of your stamens, you'll find when you turn it over, if you've already done one, that you should be green on the back as well, so you don't have to turn it over and do the other side. You've already got two sides that are done, so I've got another one to do there, so I'll just do that again. Lay it down, dust it down, and the advantage with this is you can see that you've done the same length on all of your wires as well. Just a little bit missed there. Right, so what I'm going to do now is the although I've covered this with green tape, I'm just going to go over this with the lime green just to bring it in line with the stems of the stamen. Will look a little bit darker, but it brings it sort of more in line. So you've got that sort of like three-pronged effect there, like the Isle of Man. Right, so that's that done. So we've got the centre, we've got the stamens. You need 6 stamens for this. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hang on. Which one? I think one of them's, oh, that one. Got the wrong one there. That's the soft one that's not dry yet. There we are. So I've got all the bits and pieces all together there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some more tape, because I don't think I've got enough tape there. If I can find my reel of tape. I thought I was prepared with everything, and I've done it again, haven't I? I've missed one thing. What's that? Oh, there it is. And go on to my trusty little machine I use for cutting my tape. This tape machine is a godsend for cutting. It's just got a razor blade in it. If anybody hasn't seen me use them before, they're a gem product. You can buy them from Knightsbridge PME or from a sugarcraft shop. They own gems, so they should have these in stock. All you do is just put it over your razor blade like that, and then just pull down and pull through like that, and you've got your pieces of tape. They come with 3 blades in. I take 2 out in one of them and use that, so I've got half width tape. If you want quarter width tape, just leave all 3 blades in, and then when they're done, then you just replace the blades. They're just normal razor blades, and you've got 4 sides to them, so you can do one side, then turn it round when you get sticky and do the other side, then turn the blade over and same 2 sides again. Right, so first of all what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the stamens onto the spadix. Now if you notice, I've curved that because it has a curve on you'll see when I put it all together. So I'm going to put the stamens in so they fit into those ridges that you've done there, bit like umbrella spokes. This is the same for all types of lilies that you do. Get them all at the same level. Doesn't matter if they move around, because you can adjust them once you've got them in. At the moment it's just a matter of getting them in and getting them all at the same level. That come round there, that goes in there, come round to this side. That one's pulling up a little bit, that's better. That can go in there. I hope I haven't gone off shot. I'm trying to keep, I'll just tilt the camera up a little bit. There we are, so you can see what I'm doing when I'm taping them together. Should have done that before. You learn as you go along. All the time I've been doing these videos, I keep going out of shot. I have been criticised by some of my students, but when you're operating your own camera at the same time as demonstrating, it's a little bit difficult to try and watch what you're doing and watch the camera at the same time. So unless you've tried it, don't knock it. Right, so I've got those in, and then I'm going to tape down. The reason I'm taping down is because when you add your petals in again, it helps to stop them from moving around. They've got something to grip to. So just space those out. Like that. Right, the next thing to do is to get your petals in now. Now start with the petals upright. They're not going to end up like that on this particular flower, and you want to put your petal in front of a stamen, so you've got a stamen with a petal with the stamen in the centre of it. As it goes, and just pull that down. Make sure that's nice and tight. If you pull your wires down, make sure they're nice and tight, then they don't move around. I tend to do alternate petals. I'm used to doing this because when you're putting things like lilies and that together, they do overlap. You get an inner petal and an outer petal, but you've got a wide and a narrow one in those, whereas these are all the same shape and size. But it just helps if you get an overlap anywhere to if you get into the habit of putting them together. And of course when you put them together, you need to make sure with any kind of lily that you've got the rounded bit at the bottom, otherwise it won't go around the ovary. If your petals are flat at the bottom, they won't go together. Not so much a problem with this particular lily, but it is with things like stargazers and longiflorum and things like that, and anything that you're putting together, leaves and things like that. Then we go in between with the other three petals. Actually it looks quite nice like that, doesn't it? But it's not going to stay like that because that's not how they go. If you can find that wire, we can pull it down. While you've got it at this stage, you just go around your wires and make sure that they're all pulled down and tight to your tape. I think that must be the other one. We got it? And the last petal going in. Make sure they're all nice and tight in. That's the one that's the problem. That's that one. Right, just pull that down. And then tape all the way down. And then bring your petals down. This is how a flame lily grows when it's fully open. Your petals go down like that, and then the stamens, give them a curve back out like that to each of the petals. Like that, and there we have a flame lily. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. I've got a loose petal there, I didn't get that pulled down far enough, but I can alter that later. and come back and see me in the next video. The next video I'm going to do a rose, and it's the can't think of the name of it at the moment, but I'll come on to that when I put it in. It's different to what I've done before. It's an old-fashioned rose which has numerous different centres. It takes quite a long time to do, so I'm going to come back with that one in the next video. So don't forget to hit the bell at the bottom. You find out when I upload another video. And don't forget to subscribe as well. The more subscribers we've got, the better. And if you've got any comments that you would like to make, then leave them at the bottom of the page. And if you've got any ideas of anything that you'd like to see me do, have a look through my gallery and see what I've done. And if there's anything that you would like to see me do that's not in there, then please get in touch and give me ideas, because I'm looking for new ideas now for something different to do. So see you in the next video. Stay safe and enjoy your day. Bye.